Good day, beautiful people, and welcome back once again to Life's Treasures and Golden Moments. This is Natalie Silva, sharing with you true stories of miracles and inspiration. Today I would like to share a story about kindness and how a decision to help someone made a profound difference in the lives of many. This story was written by Jutta Halberstam and Judith Leventhal. Several decades ago, Lillian Miller was an energetic, spirited, fearless young woman who loved driving long distances, did not tire easily, and relished any opportunity to do a good deed. This unusual combination of characteristics meant that she was frequently asked to perform favors for people. Because of her good-naturedness, she was enlisted to drive two young servicemen to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, from her hometown of Newcastle, Pennsylvania. Having faithfully filled her mission and dropping the men on base, she turned her car around and immediately started back home, speeding down the highway, though Lillian had second thoughts. Now, you're not being very realistic, she chastised herself. You're having a good 18-hour trip ahead of you. Better fill up on some coffee first. She spotted a little diner off the highway, ablaze with light. She pulled in, grabbing her thermos from the car. She went inside and asked the waitress to fill it to the top. She also ordered a separate cup to sip while she sat waiting at the counter. She was drinking her coffee, lost in thought, when a plaintive voice broke her daydreaming. A few seats down from her, a young serviceman in uniform sat quietly weeping. A waitress hovered over him, anxiously trying to soothe him with words of kindness and comfort, but nothing she said seemed to help. Lillian listened intently. "It's my first child, and I want to be there for my wife," he said. "I can't believe I'm going to miss the birth of my baby." "Are you sure it's not false labor?" the waitress asked. "She just called from the hospital. The doctor is sure she's in the early stages of labor. It might be a while. This is our first baby, and it could be definitely on its way." "I can't believe you have no way to get home," the waitress said sympathetically. "There's no plane service from here to Akron, and the next bus and train out don't leave until tomorrow." "Tomorrow will probably be too late," he replied. Excuse me," Lillian said. She stood up and approached the serviceman. "I'm sorry, but I couldn't help but overhear your conversation. Did you say that you had to go to Akron, as in Akron, Ohio?" "That's right," he said. He looked up at her puzzled and was wondering what she was going to do with this. "Well, this is a mighty interesting coincidence," she said, smiling. "I'm headed towards Newcastle, Pennsylvania, which is about an hour and a half away from Akron. I can drive you to Newcastle, and then you can try to hitch a ride from there to Akron. I'll be glad to give you a lift." "This is unbelievable," the serviceman exclaimed. "You're so kind. Please let me pay you for the trip." "Oh, absolutely not," Lillian said. "I'm driving to Newcastle anyway. I'm glad to help you out. Hop in." All through the trip, the serviceman kept reiterating his joy, his gratitude, his appreciation, his insistence that Lillian allow him to pay for the gas, the tolls, the trip itself. But Lillian was more obstinate than he was. "Save your money for the baby," she advised. "I told you I'm going to Newcastle anyway." But when they reached Lillian's hometown, and she turned around to tell the serviceman, who had stretched out on the back seat to catch a few winks, that they had arrived, her expression softened. He was fast asleep, and he looked so young and vulnerable and sweet. His first baby, he had said. What if he couldn't find a hitch from Newcastle to Akron after all? Having come such a long way, how would he feel if he missed the momentous event of his baby's birth? In a split second, she decided she wouldn't wake up the serviceman and tell him they were in Newcastle. She would extend herself and drive him all the way to hospital in Akron. "For me," she reasoned, "it's just 3 hours out of my way. For him, it's a lifetime." When they reached Akron, Lillian gently roused him and told him where they were. Startled, he gazed at her. overwhelmed by her kindness. "You've really gone out on a limb for me," he said. "How can I ever repay you? Please give me your name and address so I can send you something as a token of my appreciation." But Lillian was a stubborn sort of lady. "You don't know such things," she commanded. "You need every penny you have for all your baby's needs. Wait and see. I'm delighted I was able to help you out. And good luck to you. Bye." Lillian waved one final time and quickly drove away. But not back home to Newcastle after all. It was an hour-and-a-half trip, and even the tireless Lillian had finally become weary and spent. It was 3 o'clock in the morning, and what she needed more than anything else right now was a bed. "I know," she decided spontaneously. "I'll go to Dorothy's and sleep there." Dorothy, her sister, lived in a trailer park in Kent, about 10 miles from Akron. Even though it was the middle of the night, she knew she was welcome at her sister's any time. Her sister would throw open the door, smile at her warmly, and excitedly usher her inside. But when she arrived at the trailer and pounded insistently at the door, no one answered. "That's strange," Lillian muttered. Dorothy, she's not a heavy sleeper." She went around to the bedroom window, hammered on it loudly. She waited expectantly for the figure of her sister to peer out of the window or be framed in the kitchen doorway. Or if not her sister, then at least her grandmother Lucille, or her niece Debbie, or Eddie. But no one, not a single member of the family, stirred at all. Lillian ran back to the trailer door and knocked noisily once more. She still had no response from the inside, but she had managed to awaken the next-door neighbor. "Is something wrong?" he called out to her as he emerged from his trailer, clad only in pajamas. It was then that she smelled gas. She motioned to him wildly. I think something's the matter with my sister and her family. I can't wake them up, and I think I smell gas. Could you come here and tell me if you smell it too?" The neighbor ran over and sniffed. "Smells like gas to me," he said, alarmed. "Let me get some tools from my car." He raced back and pried open Dorothy's trailer door with a tire iron. As the two entered, they were engulfed by heavy gas fumes and began choking. Lillian found the limp, damp figures of her family members strewn all over the bedrooms, and she and the neighbor pulled them out of the trailer in the brisk, fresh air. Thankfully, every single one of them survived. Decades later, Lillian Miller still feels touched by Grace. The episode remains one of the defining moments of her life. If I hadn't picked up that serviceman in Oklahoma and driven him all the way to Akron, my family might very well have died that night. Sometimes, when you're performing an act of kindness, the person who ends up benefiting the most is yourself. How far can an act of kindness spread? From this end of the earth to the other, and back to our very own front door. If Lillian hadn't helped that serviceman that night, she might have lost her family. Kindness can make a major difference in one's life, as it did in Lillian's. It's the act of being caring and warm in the spirit, the quality of being friendly, generous, and considerate. One never knows when an act of kindness will touch one's life or help another. May you find kindness in your heart to reach out to others, as it will come back to you. If you have a story of inspiration, of a miracle that has touched your life and you would like to share, please contact me at angelswhisper11@gmail.com. That's angelswhisper11@gmail.com. Before closing today, I'd like to give a shout out to our veterans on this upcoming Veterans Day. May we remember the service of our veterans at home and abroad who have sacrificed so much that we can live free. Thank you, and may we pray for peace for everyone, everywhere in this amazing world. This is Natalie Silver with Life's Treasures and Golden Moments. Until next time, take care, God bless, and have a beautiful week.